Hi there, and welcome to Ambitious Single Moms Stories of Strength and Success. I'm Sonja from Your Success Story Single Mom Level Up Edition, and I'm thrilled to have you here with us today. I'm a mother of 3 wonderful daughters, and when my husband separated from me in 2017, he moved out on a Sunday, and the next morning my mother died unexpectedly. During this time, I was although in the middle of chemotherapy. Suddenly, I'm all alone with 3 small children. As a single mom and a businesswoman, I know firsthand how challenging and rewarding this journey can be. When I first became a single mom, I felt overwhelmed and uncertain about the future. But through support and consistency, I've managed to build a life that I'm proud of, both for myself and my 3 children. This podcast is all about celebrating the incredible stories of ambitious single moms who are not only raising their children with love and dedication, but also pursuing their dreams and building successful businesses. Each episode, we will dive into their journeys, exploring the heights and lows, the lessons learned, and the strategies they've used to overcome challenges. My goal is to inspire, motivate, and provide valuable insights for all the amazing single moms out there who are striving to create a better future for themselves and their families. Remember, you are not alone on this journey, and there are endless possibilities when you take charge of your life.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Ambitious Single Moms Stories of Strength and Success. My name is Sonja Zipser and I'm your host. And I'm beyond excited to introduce you to my today's guest, Kalaja from Freiburg in Germany. Hello, Kalaja.
Hello, Sonja. Nice to be here.
It's great that you decided to share your story, your journey with us. Thank you so much. And how are you doing?
Fine and a little bit nervous.
Yeah, that's normal, I guess, but afterwards you will see that it wasn't so hard and difficult as in the beginning. So you are from Germany, and so I'm as well. So how many kids do you have?
I have one son and he's 11 years old.
Okay, amazing. So, and for how long have you been separated or divorced?
It was when he was 3 years old, so it's a long time.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Yeah. And how did you experience in the beginning the journey? Was it more emotionally difficult, or what were your experiences?
Do you mean after the separation?
Yeah.
Yes, it was very challenging because at that time I had to struggle with a physical illness and I didn't know what I had. So because the doctors could not tell me what it was, and I had no idea what to do about. And so sometimes I could walk only for a half hour and not longer, or cannot really stand up. And that was very challenging to have a little child and be alone with this child, and that was a lot.
Yeah, I can
And
imagine. Yeah.
yes, and it came to that point that I had to make this decision if I could really care for my son in that way, because he was, during the week, he was staying with me, and at the weekend, he was staying with his father. But it was too much for me. I felt I could not get healthy while doing that because I felt my body needed rest. And so I tried so hard to continue in that way, but at some point I came to this point that I had to admit to myself that I could not do it in that way any longer. And so I decided to ask his father if my son could stay with him during the week and be with me at the weekends. And so we decided to do that, and it was for about 2 or 3 years. He was living with his father and visiting me at the weekends.
And how did you feel about that? That your kid was more with his
That
dad?
was not an easy time because it was not easy for my son. It was not such an emotional healthy situation that he was in. And that was very challenging for me to see that I could not help him somehow, and I could not take him and care for him more. I wanted, but I felt I could not do it, and I I had to somehow be okay with that. And in the moment I got healthier, I was very happy to care for him more, and I was very happy that he can live with me now, and that's very, very good.
So you had a tough journey at the beginning, and what did this do with your self-worth, that you are not able to care for your kid?
Yes, I guess that was not a good situation for my self-worth. And what was very good also at this time, I had also this understanding that we are worthy as humans, and it does not depend on success or anything like that. Because I want to say it differently, because I see it in that way. There are two kinds of self-worth. One is our natural self-worth. It is the self-worth that is always there for everybody, and we are in that way always 100% worthy all the time, because we are humans. We are, I would say, we are expressions of the divine. We are expressions of the source, and we are worthy.
Mhm.
And it had this kind of self-worth had nothing to do, has nothing to do with money or with looks or success or whatever. And there is a different kind of self-worth. And this is also a beautiful kind of self-worth, because this is the kind of self-worth where we're talking about personal development, success, money. And it is also important to see that these things have value, but it's not the only kind of self-worth. And I think humans have mixed up this both kinds of self-worth, and they don't understand their natural self-worth, and that nobody can lose this self-worth. And I had this understanding at that time that I am worthy, but it was challenging for my self-worth, even if I knew that. Yes.
And how did you come to that point to realize that you are worthy and that it's okay to take care of yourself? And because in fact, it was important that you took care for your health in the first place. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to care for your son at all. And
Exactly.
so now looking back at that moment, I'm sure it was difficult, and now I'm sure you're happy that you took the 3 years to or
Yes.
2 years, the time to for yourself and to focus on your health.
Yes, that's a good question. I think I have an intuitive inner knowing that I am worthy, and it was really a struggle for me because I had a tendency to give a lot to other people and not care for myself that much. And I was continuing in that way, but I felt so drawn. I don't find the perfect English word. I felt so exhausted is maybe the right word. I don't know, but I could not continue like this. It was very clear that I felt so bad, and I didn't saw any change, and it was really not an easy decision, because I knew I knew it would not been easy for my son, and so I took some time and I really felt into this decision and in a kind of meditative state, and I asked myself, how would it feel for my son if I decide to do it that way? And then I felt in the other option, how would it feel for him if I would decide to do it that way? And that helped me to find a good decision.
Amazing, yes. So what would you, I know that you are a happiness coach, and we
Yes.
just talked about that everybody wants to be happy, but we are also in such stress and always hustling through our life, the kids and everything. So we don't have really the time to get inwards. And like you said, you meditated. How did you start with all this meditation? Did you do this before? How did you start doing this? What would you
I was
what would
lucky.
you suggest to a woman who is very unsatisfied, maybe also having health issues and is not able to cope anymore with everything? How would you, what would be your first step to approach that?
I was very lucky that my parents both meditated since I was a young child and even before I was born. And so meditation was something that I was familiar to. And so before my son was born, maybe 10 years before, I started meditating, and I was also into it. I was already into it. And I would suggest maybe going to a meditation group, because I think in the beginning it is easier to start meditating with a group, because this state of mind, it's like you can enter this state of mind easier if others around you also are meditating. And also, if you go weekly to a meditation group, it's something regular, and or maybe daily, I don't know. And then you can do it at home as well. And I was going to a meditation group and to meditation seminars, and that also helped me to develop this praxis. I don't know,
Yeah.
practice. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so did I. And it's important to learn some techniques. And sometimes it's also just okay to sit in the silence. That's what I also love. So we just spoke about self-worth and taking time for yourself, for meditation to get inwards. And I know that one big topic for you is also self-love. How do you practice self-love, and what is so important? Why is it so important to you to practice self-love?
I think if we allow ourselves to love ourselves, then we are fulfilled and we have so much more to give. And in this society, we are taught that it is good to think about the others, but especially we as women, we should not think about ourselves. We should not love ourselves. We should, but we are. It is seen as arrogant if we say, "Oh, I like myself." We can say it to somebody else, "Yes, I like you." But if we are saying that about ourselves, it is seen as something that is arrogant or something that is not good. And I think it is very important to understand that if we don't allow ourselves to give ourselves this love and validation, then we are seeking it through other people. We're needing it from other people because everybody needs love, everybody needs validation. And if we allow ourselves to give it to ourselves, then we are not that dependent on other people emotionally. And I think if we see it this way, then we can set ourselves free and allow ourselves to really develop this self-love and see that it is something that is very good. And arrogance is something that comes from a lack mindset. It is not a real self-worth. It is the opposite. It is if somebody thinks he is not worthy enough, he has to show off, he has to make sure he gets a lot of validation because he's not having enough self-worth. And if we have really this feeling of self-worth, then we don't need so much validation from other people. We can give it to ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. But how do you give self-worth to yourself?
For me, it is taking time for myself and focusing on myself and allowing myself to see what is good about me. And that, for example, is what comes up.
Okay. And are you also taking classes, workshops on self-love and personal development? Or how did you start this journey?
Not so much. I booked sometimes a course about self-love, and it was more an audio kind of thing where I listened to that, and there was a practice about really forgiving other people and ourselves. But when we talk about forgiveness, I think it is very important to understand that what we judge as wrong and right is only a perspective. And if we really go into the perspective of the other persons, if we really understand them deeply, then there is no judgment that something was wrong. And that is a kind of setting ourselves free. If we really understand why people are doing something, it is not only for them, it is much more for ourselves, that we understand why something happened, and that can help us so much to feel freer. And that was a practice that was included in that.
Yeah, it's also important to be aware of my own emotions when someone does something against me. Why do I feel like that? Why do I feel hurt? Why do I feel angry now? Or why does it make something with me? And it's always
Yes.
inside of me, because if we both experience the same situation, yes, you can have other emotions about it and thinking about it than I do. And everything goes back to how we grew up, what we experienced, and the way we are thinking, how we experience life. And
Yes.
so we have Mr. X doing something to you and to me, and it's not Mr. X who's doing it. It's you and me who's putting the emotions on that situation. So we think, we are judging that person and blaming that person, but we can clear it by forgiving it and forgiving ourselves for thinking that someone else did something wrong.
Yes, that's right. And I had the picture in my mind of a house. Imagine you're standing in front of a house which seems to be very big if you're standing in front of the house. And if you are flying in an airplane above the house, it seems to be very small. And I think we are not only one, we are the person that would be in that example, the person who's standing in front of the house and seeing it as big. And we are also our inner being. And this is the perspective we have from our inside, looking down on the house and seeing it's a very small house. And this example should explain how we are sometimes in a role of being a victim, but on the other side, we have power. Our inner being sees this situation as very small and sees that it is bigger. And we, from our human perspective, are standing in front of the house and seeing it, no, it is like this. And it is not one or the other. We are not only the creator of our reality. Yes, we are, but we are also sometimes in a state where we feel as victims, and this is also valid.
Mm. Yeah, and it's also important to take a step beside or go out of the house and a room, look at the situation from a distance, from a time distance as well, also on a divorce or everything. That's what I learned when I look back on my divorce and my relationship to my ex-husband, looking at it and picking out the gifts that I got from the situation, from
Yes.
everything. And I guess most of the situations, they have a gift for us, a learning. What can I learn from it?
Yes.
Did you experience this
And
as
it
well?
helped me, for
Yeah.
example, the situation helped me to get really strong, and on one side focusing on the positive very much, because even if this situation was very hard, I was happy in this situation. Not all the time, of course, because it was very challenging. But also at that time, I had already developed my thinking and my perspective, to switch the perspective to look from the airplane onto the house. And that helped me to feel better, because we think that feeling happy depends on our situation. And it is in a kind of way that this situation influences how we are looking at things, but it is really in our perspective. How we feel depends on our perspective about something and not about the situation itself. And so I could feel very happy in very difficult situations, and sometimes I could even feel more happy in difficult situations than in my normal day-to-day life, because in this difficult situations, I was challenged, and so I was more focused on being happy. And yes, and it helped me to become this happiness coach that I am today.
Okay, so how do you help people? I don't know, do you work only with women or with men as well, or doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter, yes.
Okay, so
And I help people who are feeling that they have not enough energy, that maybe also feel like they could not stand out of bed, or they feel overwhelmed with being, for example, with being a parent. And especially I especially work with women, but it is not, but I'm open to everybody.
yeah, I can imagine that a lot of women as single moms experience being overwhelmed with the whole situation, no matter how many kids they have, 1, 2, 3 or more kids, and doing the household alone, going to work and everything. Sometimes it's hard to get out of the bed in the morning. So what would be the first thing you give them as an advice, or is it completely different for everybody? Or
At first, I would look at the situation if this overwhelm has something to do with the body, or sometimes it also can have to do with the energies we pick up of other people, and we can do something about it if we feel so many energies that are coming from other people. And I didn't knew this before, that this could have so much influence about me, because sometimes the energies of other people were so heavy in my energy field that I could literally not really stand up. It was like I had to lay down, and in this situation it was not because of my body, it was about this energy. And I find that out later, because maybe sometimes I posted something on Facebook and then I got a strong reaction from people, and after a while I figured out, okay, it has something to do with it, and there we can do a lot about this. And I found out what we can do. For example, what really works very well is if we take a bath with something like we prepare it with rose petals, like a tea. We boil the water and put it on top of the rose petals, and do this in our bath tub, in our bath water. And this can really help us to see if this overwhelm comes from energies from other people.
okay, yeah, there are so many different techniques we can use to get rid of these energies we took over from. Sometimes we know it when we go in a room and there's a bad energy and we pick it up, and suddenly before we were so happy, and we go in that room and we feel drained or something else. Yeah, I think everybody has experienced this once. So do you have last words for our listeners? Something you want to share?
Yes, I want to share that I think every woman and every man who raises a child or children, I want to say and share that I think what we are doing is so important and so worthy, and sometimes it is not seen in this society for what it really is and how important and valuable it is what we are doing. And I want to encourage you to give yourself the credit for it and to be kind to yourself, that of course you do not always know how to do it, how to do it best, but we are really doing something amazing by raising our children, and it is something that deserves so much more credit.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, the outside world doesn't give you the credit you deserve. So you have to give it yourself. And
Yes,
that's why realizing your self-worth and giving yourself the self-love is so important.
exactly.
Thank you, Kalaja, for sharing your thoughts and your journey. And yeah,
It was really, really nice to talk with you, Sonia.
thank you. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Ambitious Single Mom Stories of Strength and Success. It's been an absolute pleasure having Kalaja share her incredible journey and insights with us today. I hope you found her story as inspiring and empowering as I did. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below, sharing your thoughts or any questions you have for our guest. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. All the links and additional resources about Kalaja and myself can be found in the show notes below. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you amazing content. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep thriving. See you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. Let's embark on this journey together and rediscover the magic in our lives. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for our next episode.